Hello, welcome. My name is Jo. Welcome to today's Q&A. Please begin by just saying hi in the chat and where you are at the moment. Nice to see you here. Okay. Hi, Shraddha. Nice to see you. Welcome. So my name is Jo, and we are SLC, Specialist Language Courses. Hi, Collins. Nice to see you in Ghana. Lovely. And today I'm going to do an OET Q&A with you. So if you have any questions for me, please start putting them in the comments box and I'll try and get through as many questions as possible. So any questions about OET, if I know the answer, I will tell you. Okay. Anyone taking their exam soon? Let me know in the chat. Hi, Joy. Hi, Ivy. Hi, Rosny. Nice to see you here. Hi, Akhila in India. Great. Lots of people here. Okay. Hi, Aviana in the Philippines. Hi, Anupama. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Milani. Nice to see you here. So again, pop your questions in the chat and I will do my best to answer as many as I can as possible. If you're taking your exam towards the end of the year or the beginning of next year, if you're preparing for your OET, we've got a really exciting new course in partnership with OET. And this is called OET Prepare. So maybe some of you have got a long-term plan. You need to improve your English a little bit more. We have there are 3 stages to the course. You can enter at any of these stages. So if you've got a slightly lower language level and you need to do some foundation work first, this is the perfect course for you. Or if you are ready for the exam, if you're nearly ready for the exam level-wise, then we've got an OET preparation course as well. So the whole thing is called OET Prepare. There's 3 different sub-levels for it. The link's going in the chat now. So do have a little look. You can see our syllabus online and what each level actually entails. Okay, so whatever stage of your preparation you are, whatever level language you've got, we've got one of the courses for you. So these are open courses. Anyone can join them. Okay, we've got a few different times when you can join, but they are small groups interactive with an OET teacher. Okay, so got a few people taking the exam in August. Yeah, okay, so next week, bit nervous about speaking. That's only natural, absolutely. Hi, Ozan in Turkey. So a few questions coming in. Anupama says she's nervous about speaking. So that's totally normal to be nervous about speaking. I would recommend before the exam, if you can spend as much time speaking in English as possible to really sort of get your brain in English, I think that's a really, really good idea. If you have the opportunity to practice a few role plays with someone the day before, a couple of days before, then that's really going to help you build your confidence with speaking. Okay. Other things you can do to prepare if you don't have a partner to help you would be just practicing each individual task. So practice explaining, practice questioning technique. So if you need to find out about something, thinking about what questions you can do. Record yourself on your phone, then listen. How well did you do? Analyze, evaluate yourself, then repeat and do it better. Okay. All right, so we have some more questions here. What is the best strategy for reading part A? Reading part A is all about time management. What you need to remember with reading A is it's not testing your ability to read for detailed information. It's testing your ability to find information first. It's like if you're at work and you need to find out the dosage you need to give to a patient, you're going to scan for a number and the medication name. You're not going to read in detail all of the patient's notes. It's that kind of thing. So the best strategy for reading part A, number one, don't read the texts. You simply don't have time. But do have a quick glance at them. Spend a minute or two looking at the 4 texts. Notice what kind of information is on each one. Yeah. Are there any headings, subheadings, any tables, anything like that? And what kind of information in it? Is it information on dosages, perhaps, or is it perhaps definitions of different medical conditions? Or is it something to do with management, which might have a lot of verbs and perhaps in a step-by-step order? So have a quick glance. What kind of information is on each? The second thing you do is the matching task. We strongly recommend you do this first. There is a lot of advice out there from different people saying, do the matching task last, do the other ones first because they're more difficult. I would say do the matching task first. One, because it's easier. So you're going to get these 7 points very, very quickly. Okay. If you run out of time at the end of the test and you haven't done the matching task, then you've missed out on 7 valuable points. Okay. So do the matching task. So 1, because it's easier and you don't want to miss those points. And 2, because it really sets you up for doing the next 2 tasks. Okay. It will give you more insight as to what kind of information is in each text. So when you've completed the matching task, so matching task is what text would you find information in about this in? Yeah, you don't actually have to find the information. You just have to say which text the answer would be in if you were to find it. Okay, so you can do this without looking. Only check if necessary. Okay, and try and do this within a couple of minutes. Okay, so you've gone through about 4 to 5 minutes and you've done the matching task. Well, yeah, 4 minutes, you've gone through the matching task, you've glanced at the text, and that's going to leave you with about 11 minutes to do the other 2 tasks. Okay, so the other 2 tasks, you need to go really, really, really fast. Okay, the thing to do with the 2 tasks is find out what information you're looking for. Are you looking for a number? Are you looking for a verb, a noun? What kind of information are you looking for? What are you looking for? Where are you going to find it? So which text are you going to look in? And what words and phrases, so key words from the question or statement, are going to help you find the answer. You then scan for that word or the keywords to help you find it. Write the answer, be careful of copying the spelling correctly, and then move on to the next question. So it's what are you looking for? What words and phrases will help you find the answer? Where are you going to look? Scan for the answer, copy, move on. If you can't find the answer straight away, move on. You simply do not have time to waste. Okay, remember it's 15 minutes, 20 questions. All right, so you really need to go, 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 go. It's hard, yeah? The actual task is not difficult, but the fact that you've only got 15 minutes is difficult. Okay. All right, so reading C part 2, not enough time for me. How can I overcome this? That's a very good point, Thushara. So reading C, you've got 2 long texts and you have to do it with reading B in 45 minutes. So I would say try and do reading B quickly, within about sort of 10 to 12 minutes if possible, to leave you with as much time as possible for reading C. Some people like to leave reading B to the end. That's fine. Try both strategies and see how you go. But what you don't want to do is run out of time and not complete any of reading B, especially if you find C harder than B. So everybody's different, so think about which you find more difficult, okay, and perhaps do the easier one first to maximize your points, okay. So reading part C is tricky. One time saving strategy for reading C. So there's two possible strategies. The first one is read the question, read the options, notice the differences between them, then read the text, and then go and choose the correct answer. Yes? But it's fine to do that if you can do this quickly enough. But the thing with that is that you're reading through the options before you read the text, and then you're reading them again. So perhaps that's going to take a little bit more time. So how about thinking about looking at the question, but not the options, then reading the paragraph, and then looking at the options. So that way you're only reading the options once. So that's one idea on how you can just reduce the time you're spending a little bit more. Okay. Work on your skills to overcome time management issues in reading C. You want to read as much as possible. Yes, practice reading quickly, identifying main ideas in paragraphs and whole text. Use online resources such as theconversation.com. That's a really good one. They're sort of similar length to OET Reading C and full of language of attitude and opinion. So really practice reading quickly. What are the main ideas in each of the paragraphs? Yeah, so that's going to really, really help you. So the more confident you are in reading, this is going to help you. Yeah, so it's a skill that needs to be practiced. Okay. You can also, if you're struggling with time management, try the elimination strategy. Yeah, so as you go through, just yes, no, maybe. Yeah, so is it option A? Yes, no, maybe. Yes, no, maybe. Yes, no, maybe. And then, see what you come up with. What have you got left? Okay, that's not no. Okay, so questions here. Another question, question about writing. Can we ask the invigilator about anything we don't know, like any abbreviations we don't understand? I would say I think the answer is no. They will not give you any information or not help you with anything that's written on the OET case notes. What I would recommend is, look at a lot of case notes on the OET website, for example, build up a bank of common abbreviations used in the OET so that you know what they stand for. And if you do get one that comes up on the paper and you don't know what it means, then I would say just write it as an abbreviation. Yeah. Okie dokie. Got a question. Sivanaya from Sri Lanka. What are the differences between the OET, all profession reading, listening, and nurses, doctors on exam, and how to choose an exam date? Well, there's two questions there. Well, the reading and listening are the same for all professions, which means you don't need any specialist knowledge. They're often on a general medical topic, but you could read, for example, in reading C, a text on the topic of physiotherapy, or you might listen to a consultation with a patient and maybe a podiatrist, for example, something like that. So we'd recommend to read and listen widely around all of the 12 professions. Writing and speaking is profession specific. So if you're a nurse, you'll write as a nurse and speak as a nurse. And if you're a doctor, you'll write as a doctor or speak as a doctor. Okay. And in terms of how to choose an OET exam date, I would say make sure you're leaving enough time for your preparation. Okay. So you need to make sure that you leave enough time to improve your English level if you need to, improve your skills, and really get to know the exam and practice using the strategies. So it's 3 things you need to do: language level, skills, strategies, and exam techniques. You need to improve all those 3 things in order to achieve exam success. So thinking about the amount of things that you need to do in order to prepare. Think about if you're going to take a course, okay? And think about what your responsibilities are, okay? How much are you working at the moment? Do you have family commitments, children to look after, things like that? Think about how much time realistically do you have to spend each week on your OET study? And then you can work it from there. If you have quite a lot of time to spend and you don't have so many commitments, then, choose an exam date a little bit closer. But if you don't have an awful lot of time, then, prepare for the long game, because it is a difficult exam. It's an expensive exam. So you want to make sure that you're not taking the exam too soon. Question from Rosny, how to revise in these 3 weeks? Any final tips for those people who are taking their exam on August the 5th? Yes. A few tips. One, don't panic, okay? You've got your exam booked. You need to go in there confident and ready to pass, okay? Go in there with a positive mindset. I would say don't cram too much into the next week and a half, okay? And try not to do anything on the day or the night before the exam, because you don't want to stress yourself out and then not get a good night's sleep. You want to get a good night's sleep, try and relax before the exam. And when you get into the exam at the beginning, make sure you just take a deep breath before you start writing. Focus. If you've done the preparation, there's no reason why you can't do well in the exam. In terms of final preparation, I would say, make sure you're clear on the strategies to use. Okay, so perhaps review those. Think about your weak areas and perhaps do a couple of little extra practice in those areas. You can review some of the case notes and sample letters just to remind yourself of useful language to use. And if you really don't have a lot of time, watch a couple of videos on OET Official or our YouTube channel just to sort of remind you of a few things and boost your confidence. Okay. And as I said before, if you can speak in English to friends or colleagues before the exam so that your brain's sort of in English mode, then that might help you prepare as well. Okay. Another question. What should we do to improve my reading vocabulary? Sorry, what should I read to improve my reading vocabulary? From Sapana. That's a very good question. I'm assuming you mean reading B and reading C. Past practice papers, OET official papers, are good for vocabulary development. So whenever you do practice, don't just discard it or put it to the side. Go back and really use it for language and vocabulary development. The same with websites like theconversation.com, Guardian Health, the BBC Health, things like that. You can really use those websites to develop your vocabulary. Make a note of any language to express attitude and opinion. Things like I'm on the fence about, meaning I haven't decided either way. So any set phrases like that you come across, any adjectives, nouns, adverbs, like surprisingly, interestingly, uncommon, bizarre, strange, anything like that gives you an indication as to how the writer feels about a topic. Make a note of them. Create lists of words, language banks, synonyms. Yeah. So for example, something that often comes up in OET Reading C is perhaps something that was surprising or unusual. Yeah. So there are lots of different ways that you could express surprising, unexpected, yeah, astonishing, something like that. Uncommon, odd, bizarre, unusual. So make sure you're building up a bank of synonyms that express the same meaning. Okay, question from Masum. Hi, Masum Kaya. Could you please give us listening practice sources? Good resource for listening, aside from doing practice papers, because it is important to do practice papers, but you need to do it in combination with general listening as well. So making sure that you're using perhaps the transcripts once you've finished, Okay, always try and listen again without the transcript to notice your errors, and then listen a third time with the transcript, because you don't want to rely too much on transcripts. You want to train your ears, not your eyes. So make sure that you try and find out what your mistakes are without using the words first. Other places, so as I mentioned, just improving your general listening. The BBC Health podcast is good. ABC Health Report, that's Australian. You can go there. There's things on the BBC as well. Any medical podcasts that you come across, yeah, the more you listen to English, different accents, variety of topics, the more confident you'll be with listening. Okay. If you want to improve your listening then I would recommend listening to consultations. So on YouTube, there's the CSA videos, which is clinical skills. It's GP trainee doctors, but there's consultations on there. Extracts from GP behind closed doors, or 24 hours in A&E. These are really good resources for getting used to native language. Okay. All right, so let's have a little look. Okay, all right. Another question about reading. I'm having problems understanding the paragraph. Can you please help? Understanding the main ideas in the paragraph is really important, because you need to understand the ideas in order to answer the question. So I would say this is something that you can really, really practice with a wide variety of resources, practice papers, and places like theconversation.com. So I would say break it up, take each sentence. What is that sentence saying? Yeah. So one sentence or two sentences, they might sometimes go together, but take one sentence. What's the main idea in that sentence? The next one, the next one. So you're building up a picture of what the idea of that paragraph is. So notice the structure. Usually there's a topic sentence, and then there might be supporting points, for example, examples, okay, or further explanations, and maybe some contrasting ideas. And there's usually some sort of concluding sentence at the end of a paragraph as well. So this can happen. Not always, it could be a concluding sentence or a contrasting sentence idea. So, try and figure out what the structure of the paragraph is, what the main ideas are in this paragraph. You can write summaries of this as well. That will really, really help. Obviously, you're not going to do it in so much detail in the exam. This is something that you would do to build your skills during your self-study. And the more you do this, the quicker you can identify the ideas. Yeah, so you can do this more confidently when you're actually doing exam practice. Okay, good question from Melanie. What happens if the word count is less than 180 in the writing part? So it's a guide, the word limit. It's not the right word to use. The right approximately 180 words is a guide. However, if you're writing less than 180, if you write 179, 176, it's probably not going to make too much of a difference. All right. But if you're writing 150, 160, the likelihood is that you've missed out key information, or you've summarized far too concisely. You've not written in full sentences, not expanded the case notes. It's more in note form. So similarly, if you write 185, 190 words, probably no problem. But if you're writing 230, 40, 50 words, and I've seen more than that, then the likelihood is that you have included irrelevant information, or you've not summarized concisely enough. You're putting in far too much detail and perhaps using unnecessary words and phrases. Okay, so I would suggest Learn what 180 words looks like in your handwriting, roughly, yeah? How many pages of A4 is it? Is it a page and a paragraph? Is it one page because you've got small writing? Is it a page and a half? Yeah. So work out what it looks like, because you don't want to spend ages going, 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't want to be counting your words, wasting time. So you want to know roughly what it looks like. Okay. All right. All right. Question here. My score is not getting improved. It's between 25 to 30, always in reading, despite doing all samples. Please tell me what to do. Well, do more than samples. Yeah, as I said before, do a wide variety. You need to read. Yeah, if you want to improve your reading score, you need to read a lot, not just do sample papers, because you're not improving your skills, you're just practicing the strategies. So it's a combination of both. So I'd say read extensively, as well as doing sample papers. But also, when you do sample papers, make sure you're evaluating, why did you get those questions wrong? Yeah, is there something that you need to change in how you're thinking or how you approach the paper? So think about those kinds of things. Yeah, make sure you're developing your language as well and your vocabulary by reading extensively. Do you have a notebook with useful phrases for attitude and opinion for reading, for example? Do you review those regularly? If the answer is no, then think about doing something like that as well. Okay. All right. Another question. Please, what can someone do? The time for reading A is too small. It is achievable, Damilola. It is achievable. Okay. What I suggest is making sure that you're not wasting any time. So as I mentioned before, it's don't read them. Don't read the texts. Okay. For reading A, you just need to glance at them, have a look what kind of information is on there, and it's use that strategy. What are you looking for? What information will help you find the answer? What text are you going to look in? And then go and find the answer. Okay. If you can't find the answer, move on, because you don't want to waste like 3, 4, 5 minutes on question 14, run out of time, and you've not been able to do questions 15 to 20, which maybe are easier, and you're losing out on points that you would have got. Yeah. The reading site that I suggested earlier, theconversation.com. It's in the chat now. You should be able to see that there. Okay. I'm going to answer one more question. I've got a good question from Deepa. Hi, Deepa. How to get a B in OET speaking? Very good question. Lots of different factors involved in getting a B for speaking. Remember, you've got the 2 criteria. Okay, you've got the linguistic criteria. So you need to make sure that you speak clearly, you're fluent, not too much hesitation. So practicing your speaking to be confident and fluent. Make sure you use appropriate language for the situation. So if you're giving advice, are you using appropriate phrases such as, it would be better to do this, it's a good idea, what do you think about doing this? Obviously, grammar and vocabulary is important. You need to have a balance between, you can make mistakes. You just don't want them to cause strain for the reader. Okay, so a wider range of grammar and vocabulary can help you get a high score in speaking. So I would do some work on that. And then you've got the clinical communication criteria. So go through that. It's available on the website. And, make sure you have some resources, some useful phrases to make sure that you're meeting all that criteria. For example, eliciting and exploring the patient's concerns. Make sure you've got some questions that you can use. Could you tell me what concerns you about this? Or I sense that you're a little bit worried about this. Can you tell me more? Yeah, make sure you've got words, you've got phrases that you can use to help you achieve that. make sure you use the roll card to help you. You know, what's the context? Where are you? What information is provided about the patient? How are they feeling? Is there any indications to that? Use the preparation time wisely. Notice the tasks, underline them. Think of useful phrases to say for those tasks. Use the information on the roll card. If there are brackets with information to use that information. Remember, don't talk for too long. Chunk and check. So keep pausing and checking that the speaker is following you or finding out how they feel about something as you go. Okay. Right, that's it from me for this week's, this month's OET Q&A. We will be back on the last Wednesday of next month, so please do join us then. Otherwise, we're available on YouTube. If you ever have a question, comment on one of our videos. We'll get back to you if we can to answer your questions. Okay, and if you're taking the exam next Saturday, good luck. Hope you do well. Thanks very much, everyone. Take care. See you soon.